sometimes we do push it. I was there to go get myself a massage. But, I mean, this whole burning out the candle at two ends, like, it clearly affects us. It clearly affects being a helping professional here, being a helper. But I want to know a little bit about, like, why did you choose this topic to be the season finale of Therapy House?
Pulled it out of a hat.
Yeah, pulled out the hat. You guys left me with this, so thanks a lot.
You got the last number.
Last number. I mean, it sounded like it matched the things that we dropped already. I mean, the other ones I came up with was what, dating while being a therapist. That's more of like, we can say that shit for season 2, but this is more serious. This is something that hasn't been touched. Once again, another topic that hasn't been discussed. The one that I felt was on the list of things that they did not teach us or tell us about or warn us about in grad school. So it's just like, this is par for the course. Why not? Why not get it with a bunch of helping professionals and talk about it if they experienced it the same thing?
This topic in the curriculum.
Exactly.
True fact. I remember Don St. Louis, and I had mentioned one time that he signed up for this self-care workshop for these therapists, right? Like, you know, like we're doing all our stuff like after like continuing ed and all that for a license, and he saw this one for a workshop, you know. It was just like, oh, self-care, great. And it was on a little boat, so it was just like, oh damn, like this is gonna be a nice little cruise, like a little weekend conference, you know, type of thing. Only 2 people showed up, him and somebody else. And then they showed up because nobody else got there. They had to cancel it. You know, it's like, that's how much this topic is talked about, dude. Like, you know, like, no, we're in the helping professions, but a lot of times we don't even prioritize our own self-care.
I think it's not just to talk about it. It's whether or not people take it serious or not, to be really involved, to really help themselves. Right? If you help yourself, you're helping others.
Well, not necessarily. Like, self-care workshops are mostly, I feel, are just scheduled at way poor times. So, I mean, just poor timing for a lot of self-care workshops. So, I mean, there's chances to do it. It's either just got to be really early in the morning or, well, I'm not going to go to that shit after work. So, I got my own other routine. So, hey, so.
And that's where like taking it seriously comes in. I mean, you sacrifice something.
Or it's more of a, about to get me on my soapbox. How fucking shit should be fucking structured. Like, we should be, if you're in a therapy organization, an agency, forget private practice, but an agency, to make mental health or that such, like the education of a therapist more of a, like a foreground, there should be opportunities where we do kind of get to go to trainings and count it toward productivity, because you want your therapist educated and in the community helping clients with the most skills, correct? You want them to be able to handle suicide prevention, suicide assessments at the advanced level, right? That would probably benefit you and your community, correct?
Yeah, I got you.
With that, could they also include that in productivity, the self-care? Or, hey, we're going to give you a little bit this month for yourself to go get a massage, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, if they're doing it for the fucking tech companies out here, you know, where you get like, you know, you get these like nice little couch areas that you can relax and everything like that. Like,
could they not?
Why can't they do it in the mental health field, you know?
But they don't.
Exactly.
Oh, you got to do that on your own. But then with what time? Because I'm over here slaving away for you guys. But yet, we're in a system where it's all, you know, go see the clients, rack up the hours, document all this shit, so do the little assessments, and then, you know, basically wasting away.
You know, and I think there's this fine line of like, do you really care about that? And does that make you a bad therapist? You know, does that make you ethically a bad therapist also? You know, that kind of like therapy guilt that we've been talking about, you know? So I feel like it's, again, it's that slippery slope, right? Where I find myself sometimes just like, fuck it, you know? Like, I don't give a shit. Like,
because you're in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
You either go see this client or you take some time for self-care and eat lunch. You do this paperwork so you can have a little bit extra time after work.
You guys can chime in, but I think it's more like a progression for you guys as well, like just for a therapist in general. Like maybe most therapists want to do private practice, right? And so everything that you're doing out of grad school is just a progression to get there, just to get you familiar with this specific environment, right? So it's not going to always be peachy and cream in an area, but if you get to private practice, you have the more flexibility to do something like that. That's just my take on it. I don't know.
Kind of like paying your dues.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
Shit, I've been paying my dues for the last 27 years out here. You know, like shit. I've been fucking accruing those hours. I gotta pay more dues, but I mean, it just comes to show. You're right.
But then again, at the same time, I think being this far in, having a license and seeing people not cross that threshold or like get burned out, and it's like, no, instead of taking time off, no, I'm gonna just dip out of this place.
I'm going to change careers.
Change careers. To say that, okay, private practice is the goal. Like, we hope that we all get there. But then if you're seeing so many people burn out from that, then what is that worth it?
Yeah.
Is there things that could be put in place that could make the path a little bit less treacherous? Like, there has to be adversity, but
I'm just saying, you
a little
guys
bit
come
better.
to San Mateo County. We have those trainings that count towards our productivity. So,
But then how
I need to come up
easy
north.
is it to get into a county?
I need to come up
program?
north. Know what I'm
That's the
saying?
thing. How easy is it to get into a county?
It's not easy. You're right. It's pretty difficult.
Privileges and everything.
You know, but you guys come up north. You know,
We got to come out the mud.
we
out
the
here.
north, baby.
That's
we,
the thing.
we the six.
We got to come out the mud.
Or just be like my baby and get on that federal level out here, that federal job.
Fuck. But you got to be stellar to be like even considered. But even then, with burnout, with handling all this stuff, when you do hit that patch, when things start to get blurry and you don't feel present in session, I think within me, I can speak for myself, there's been some times where I'm like, I feel like there's a stigma if I were to go to therapy and talk about it with other therapists of just like, I feel like people would judge me or be like, oh, wait, you're going through something? Tell me more. So I think that was one of the things I was worried about. Like, oh, I would mention it in supervision, and people would be like, "Huh, is that right?
Like you're supposed to be this buttoned up person,
You can
know?
keep your shit together, huh?"
We're employee of the year.
Yeah. So it's like,
This
I
is
mean-
who they chose.
I mean, do you feel like there's a stigma within the therapy community of therapists seeking therapy, or even though they encourage it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I
You
haven't
know,
seen that. You know, I've the therapists I've talked to, they really all talk about like they're really open about going to therapy, and so it's like not a from what I've been around. I don't think it's much a stigma. You know, maybe there is. I haven't found like really a group of therapists that talks about that. Like kind of like looks at you like a little side eyed and like like what are you doing? I've never came across that. I feel like the community is a little bit more like pretty accepting and open to that. I don't know.
but I think to your point, Maya,
talking
you
to the
know,
right
like
people.
you're talking about being a rock, right? And kind of like always kind of like being present, right?
Mhm.
Always kind of like having that face. When it comes to supervision, you know, like I don't know how often this happens in group supervision, you know, but how vulnerable you're going to be. Are you going to bring in your own personal shit, or are you just going to be talking about clients and how you're just like struggling with the client, you need help with some interventions, or are you really going to like dive in? And I think that's what instigated, or that's what kind of like catapulted this podcast, because we're all helpers, right? The majority of us are therapists, and so the reason why we're talking about this is because we were just getting together, you know, sometimes having a couple of drinks and talking shit about our clients, talking fucking, you know, like shit about our work, sometimes talking about how we're going through some stuff right now. And I think there is sort of like this unspoken, I don't know if this maybe unspoken rule where like in group supervision, you might not, you shouldn't be talking about your own personal things, right? Or are you really going to open up to your supervisor like that with what you're going through? Or are you just going to save it for for your own therapy, right? And you're just going to kind of like separate that, which which is true. You know, it's something that I've recently been going to therapy, and I've kind of gone back and forth as far as like, you know, sharing that with my team, with my job. But I actually see other teammates of mine that are open about it and just kind of like talking about how they are going to therapy and they are growing. And I think that gives me more of like a feeling of solidarity that like, okay, other people are also kind of going through this shit. It's just not talked about. I mean, we got to talk about fucking programmatic shit. We got to talk about other shit. But you're right, man. We need to, there needs to be that systemic change of like therapists really being able to share how they're going through something really hard. At least in my team, for sure, I'm grateful that it's a safe space, and I haven't really felt like somebody has judged or kind of given that sort of side of like, you going to therapy out here? Like, you going through your own shit? Which shit, man. I mean, I don't know if that's a reflection of other therapists, you know, but yeah, I mean, when John, when you've told me that you're going to therapy, you know, like, I haven't, it's never come across my mind like, shit, you going through your own shit right here? I don't know if you should be practicing your therapy right now. You know, I don't know if you should be seeing clients. Like, it's never come across if anything, it's giving me more of an opportunity to reflect like, man, I think I should be doing that too. You know, I think I need to actually be exploring that right now. Like, it's okay to not be strong all the time. You know, so that's kind of the message that I've been seeing.
I think one of the things that I've learned over the past, so from school, we preached a lot of reflective practice, especially as a professional in the education field. And that's something that I can say I can see that happening here, just reflecting on your own practices within the therapy realm. It's like a reflection of your reflection kind of thing, like a area where you're reflecting on your techniques, your approaches, and then you're reflecting on like that whole piece. Like, did I do it right? Am I doing it correctly? Could I have done it better? And so I think that's something that can certainly be utilized in this realm of therapy if you're seeking therapy yourself, you know. John pressing the snooze button.
John's burnt the both ends at this point.
Today, he's out today.
Yeah, man.
He's not as giddy up as usual.
Yeah.
Like I've said, you know, I mean, and like I said, I've had over a week of just highly intense moving. You know, I had to fit like this whole living room into the other living room, you know, and combine that style and just moving everything, you know, coming out here from Chill House, Therapy House, J House, you know, and moving into my partner's house. And it's been quite an adventure, but it has been physically taxing on the body. I think I do need one of those mental health days, honestly. You know,
yeah, fuck saving
enough?
PTO,
You didn't get
bro.
enough in a therapy house out in Tahoe? You get enough of that, birthday boy?
I told myself that all right, like that was gonna be so sick, and that was gonna be an amazing little weekend vacay. But then immediately after that was like boom, like right into just all right, move all my shit. And as y'all could see, I had a lot of shit to move. From moving the engine to over like I think I had over 900 records over here, like vinyl records, you know, with not the right boxes.
Not the right boxes at all, but oh well.
But
got done.
You know, but still moved them anyway, and then like to all the help that y'all gave me too. I mean, goddamn, we moved a lot of shit.
Get that mental health day, bro.
Yeah,
use it, bro.
We gotta know when to use it, and I think that's the thing that's been a beauty about this therapy house. Like we're talking about self-reflection, about our own self-care, but you know, this own therapy house as the final episode has also been empathizing for our own journeys out here. You know, this therapy house has been our own self-reflection out here with the brothers. You know, and I think this has been a great topic for us to bring up.
Great way to bring it home. Exactly. Runners on third, second, and first. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So
got a home run hitter.
To wrap it up, Mr. John, since you went to therapy before you were a therapist, do you feel like that made it easier for you to return after becoming a therapist than it would have if you had to go to a therapist while you were a therapist?
Well, I think that just like everybody else's experiences, I think that you look at it differently through the years, right? You know, I know that like when I went to therapy as a kid, I didn't really appreciate it, you know, and especially after both my parents kind of like quit on it, you know, and it was just me going for, I want to say about like a year and a half, you know, I think it was about like once a month at Kaiser Child Psychiatry, right? Little psych department. Later on, when I studied it when I was in graduate school and could kind of see like, you know, what was going on with some of the, I guess some of the play therapy and some of the just being a safe space for me. I could see it better, and I could see how it was supposed to be, you know, trying to empathize with me, and really gave me a safe space. It gave me a different appreciation for what I had gone through.
It
You know.
planted the seed for you.
It planted the seed, you know, and I think that when I did go through my own existential crises, I made that conscientious decision of like, yeah, like I gotta go back. I gotta actually explore that shit, because I went through that shit and I was just kind of like, all right, I'm doing the process, you know, but I was being a little teenager and like all confused and just, you know, wasn't appreciative, you know, but then going into it consciously, that's what made the difference, you know, and I think that that's what today is kind of coming to realization about. It's just that like having that conscientious decision making between those two sides of the candle, you know, just how are you balancing on this tightrope, you know, and so when you go back to therapy nowadays, you know, like being a therapist and all that, like I'm actually actively exploring some of my shit. Like, why did I get triggered? Like, I'm trying to accomplish shit, you know? I'm definitely a lot more self-actualized than before. You know, there ain't no doubt about that. Independent, you know, an adult out here, a partner, stepdad, you know, like definitely a lot more self-actualized these days. But going into therapy actively and trying to explore your intergenerational trauma, your relationship trauma, like just all that, it just gives you a different experience, you know, of understanding your own stuff and what maybe your own inner child needs, and then being able to be more present for others, right? I think that when I go to therapy nowadays, I still go in long-term private practice. Sometimes it's just letting out a release valve, you know, just being like, you know, I got to talk about this stuff, you know. Therapy does give you different lenses.
Release valve. I'm tired. That's how this bitch is. You're releasing the air and you're tired, bro.
Like a fart, like a slow fart.
You'll feel relieved on the. But no, for reals, you know. I mean, the therapy is a great way to get self-care, man. I mean, I feel like for any therapist out there who's listening to us therapists talk about being a therapist out here, if you feeling that you at two ends of the candle, you just go get therapy.
Well, it's not also about like who you talk to. It's how like or who you go to, right? It's how you do it. It's the way that you can do it, right? You know,
for sure. So, you got to find the right person too.
You got to find the right person. But you know, the more I see it, you know, I always thought like, no, I can self-care by like listening to music. I can self-care by doing exercise. You know, and to a certain extent that works. But I've now learned, again, hard lessons, right? And I think you're right that the older we get in this field, that is when, you know, you're going to like really thrive. You know, everybody that we've researched, whether it's, you know, people like Carl Rogers, people like Bill Miller, you know, with motivational interviewing, like all these people, they were older people, you know, like people that have lived experiences. And I had to learn that there is a certain ceiling when you do just these sort of small tangible activities, or with intention, it is reparative, right? It is
You're talking about the manuals and shit?
restorative. Well, not the manuals, but when it comes to self-care, when it comes to like you're intentionally wanting to listen to music, you're intentionally wanting to meditate, right? You're intentionally wanting to do that. But the real experience goes with participating in therapy, because that forces you to break that ceiling. You really are like exploring yourself, that inner child that you need. And I mean, at least as a therapist, what other helping professions, whatever they need, like I can't speak to that, right? Especially having you, Jay, here in Therapy House. But that's a lesson that I've learned, that there is a certain ceiling to the self care that I have, and that therapy just elevates that.
I think it's important to hear yourself out too. Like, just kind of hear yourself out loud. A lot of us, for me, like, you tend to hold things in, and so going to therapy, like you mentioned, like I just thought about it. Like, if you go work out, you're not really talking to yourself. Like, if it's a coping mechanism or a stress release, like, it's not really like you're not talking to. And I just feel like talking helps release all of that toxins. Like, if just in your body, it just flushes it out, and helps you see it from a different perspective. If the person you're talking to is unbiased, so I think talking it out helps. Is like the thing you got to get done.
I'm never gonna forget this conversation, Maya. And I mean, this burning the candle on two ends. Like I said, like it's just stuck with me. This whole time. So I might use it, with talking to other therapists, talking to my friends, but it's a metaphor that I never thought about. It was never fucking introduced to in the graduate classroom. However that image came to your mind, I think it really resonated with me, and how and what that means, man. So thank you for bringing that up. And shit, this is season 1. Can't wait to see what season 2 of Therapy House comes and what it brings.
Yeah, byproduct of dealing with it for a year and a half and experiencing significant lows and yeah, a whole lot that we continue to still work with. I continue to go back to, whether I like it or not sometimes. And, it's definitely brought a lot of lessons. It's definitely proved my resilience. It's definitely reminded me of I don't need to be as, invincible as I believe I am. I don't need to dive into my work as hard as I do. It definitely proves how I don't think I need to be burned out to prove how much I love this job or love this profession, or whether to prove this is what I put in all the student loans and time and papers I had to write. I think it definitely, speaking with you guys, just reminds me of that. Yeah, you do deserve a break. When stuff gets hard, you can take that time off, even though it may last longer than a month or 2 months. Mm-hmm. Or even a year. But at the same time, as a therapist, you set those warning signs, you see your limits, because we all do have limits. And then if you do choose to take a break, that could definitely, start your healing a lot earlier instead of prolonging it.
And for those clients that are out there listening to this, man, goddamn, now you know. Now you know that we struggling out here too, and sometimes we gotta talk shit about you to just kind of like release the valve, So don't take it personal, Just don't take it personal when when that happens. Obviously, we're gonna be there for you in the moment.
Take it personal.
But shit,
take it personal. I'm spacing out during our sessions.
I'm spacing out. Don't take it personal though.
I can't be on my A game every day.
I can't be on my A. What is it?
After hours, bro.
It's after hours, bro.
It's after hours.
But yeah, I think we started this podcast hopefully to, talk about things that haven't been talked about. Provide us a place to, not necessarily talk about work, but talk about something deeper and also, better our own relationship with each other. Definitely gotten deep. Some people cried here. Not gonna name names, but some people did.
Tears.
Therapist cry too.
Therapist cry too.
Therapist tears.
We're gonna put that on the shirt. Check our merch.
It's a rainy day on Therapy House.
Therapist cry too.
Therapist cry too.
Definitely a merch.
That's definitely a merch right there.
I'm going to Etsy tonight. I'm going to Etsy tonight. Get some signature shirts.
I think hopefully there's also another piece within creating a podcast like this is just being able to learn from each other and being able to. We hope that you guys learn from us as well.
Learning from each other is pretty important, man. And I think that as we look a little bit forward to season 2 of Therapy House, I always try to give that little hint out here, that little tease. I love the idea that you've had, Maya, about bringing people on, dude. Having some guests come in, rotating guests to come in, and share different perspectives. I feel like we've set the foundation during season 1, and now we're on episode 6, the last one, burning the candle at two ends in our own lives of sorts. And now for season 2, man, one of those aspirations, we got to bring more people in. We got to talk to more people.
Because, even if we don't have Therapy House anymore, wherever you may be, that's where therapy is. That therapy is,
Hey, be careful with that copyright right there, Maya. All right?
Careful with that. You're going to have to count a percentage of words out here.
Wait. So you're going to sue yourself, huh? You're going to sue yourself. All right.
I'm going to take my own money to get it back.
That's a collab t-shirt right there, all right? That's another merch.
So, yeah, it's been a good season. Hope you enjoyed it. Long ride. More to come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Keep tuning in here at Therapy House.
Peace. Therapy House.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into Therapy House. Here to remind you to check out our Linktree at Linktree/therapy_house. There you can find all the links for our podcast website, the different platforms that we are broadcasting on, the individual links to our personal pages. Like, comment, rate, and review our podcast so that we can grow. And, of course, subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when we drop something new. Until then, we'll see you next time.